And
hello and welcome to A Gypsy's Kiss, the vlog 2.0. I'm Shelley Carney. Are you going to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm Toby Unit. Stick with us a couple of seconds, and we will talk about the 7 stages of grief and the 3 stages of getting all your technology ducks lined up. As always, in a constant state of experimentation with our technology, so forgive us. We've had a couple of false starts in the past couple of weeks, but we're doing better. Talk to me.
Okay, so please take a moment now to like this video with a thumbs up, share it with your social media contacts, let them know we are live and they can join us in the chat room, and subscribe, then click on the bell to receive notifications when we go live or put out a new video.
Yeah. You know what? I was thinking about just recording these. We should just record these and just play them out.
Then we'd be wearing different clothes.
Oh, good.
Or at least I would be.
Yeah, sure.
Housekeeping, you want toe?
We want to send out thank you to our moderators, Jimmy Fast, Joel Lewicki, Jason Eunice, and Eric Schmidt. These gentlemen keep our chat safe and the conversation flowing, as well as providing wonderful information and links to our viewers. Our presentation today will be followed by an open Q&A.
And not only will it be followed by an open Q&A, but you can send us a text message right now to 1-800-947-1043. And you can also leave a voicemail, but once we finish with the presentation, we'll open up the phone lines and you can call and talk about this. So, are you ready? How are you feeling? Doing okay?
Yeah.
Oh. Shelley's a bit under the weather, so forgive her for that. So what we wanted to talk about today is as much about us as it is about everybody else as well. And one of the things that I wanted to deal with was what's going to happen when the treasure, it is announced that the treasure has been found, and it isn't us or one of you that has found it. It's somebody else. Now, it may very well be somebody that you know, but it is indeed somebody else. So I wanted to talk about that because it struck me there's a lot of things that are going to take place, and the more that you're prepared to deal with them, the better you are. Now, that is not an indication by me that necessarily this treasure is going to be found anytime soon. I'm on the side of longevity when it comes to the treasure chest, or the treasure chest being found. I don't think it's going to be this year. I don't think it's going to be next year. I'm hoping that at least it's before the end of my life. Well, in order, I hope it's before the end of Fenn's life, before the end of my life, and then I guess I don't care after that. But there is nothing in the realm of evidence that I have that indicates to me that's actually what's going to happen. So I started thinking about that, and I wanted to share my thoughts. As usual, I started thinking about it. Shelley and I had a conversation about it. I brought it up in one of our conversations last week, and people, said that that's a good idea to have the conversation at least. So we thought we'd bring it to this presentation. So, but first, I'd like to provide you a moment of Fenn. And he said, and I quote, I don't feel that I've given it away. Whoever finds it is going to earn it. And once they find it and have it in their possession, I'm out of the picture. They can do whatever they want with it. You can't, and he hesitates. I don't want to make rules for people after the fact. The implication of that statement is that when the treasure is in your possession, it is in your possession. You have title to it. You are, as far as he's concerned, the owner of said treasure, and that you can do with it what you want. He said that at the Moby Dickens Bookshop on November 2nd, 2013, a recording that we made and that you can find on our YouTube channel. So that is followed up by a moment of, I say you on here, but I mean us, and I mean you. This presentation is for you. There are a couple of caveats in all of this, and I'm gonna give you what I think of are the primary caveats. This presentation is for you if you believe that Forrest Fenn hid a bronze chest filled with gold, jewels, and ancient artifacts in a place that was special to him somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. And he did it with the intent that someday someone would find it and take possession of it. You have to believe that, because if you don't believe it's specifically that, if you believe that this is some spiritual quest, or if you believe that you're going to find a Fenn treasure medallion instead, or that you're going to find a note telling you where to go open a safe deposit box and find the treasure. If you believe any of that, this presentation is not for you. And the reason is you're likely not going to experience the same levels of grief as someone who does believe that. We believe that. And it is likely that if you're watching this program, you believe that. But if you don't, that's okay. You're just not, this presentation kind of isn't going to fit you, because you'll have other things that you can do to help yourself get through this. Secondly, that the clues are in the poem and that there are some hints in his book. You have to believe that. You can also believe that everything that he said since he published the book is a hint or a clue. You can believe, like we do, that everything is either intelligence or counterintelligence. But at a minimum, you have to believe that the clues to finding that treasure that he hid and that I describe above, that the clues to finding it are in the poem, and that he put some hints that would help you figure out the clues in the book. He said that over and over again. If you believe instead or in lieu thereof of other things, that everything is a clue and everything is a hint, or nothing is a clue and nothing is a hint, or the 9 sentences are clues, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I could go on about the alternatives to that, but you're going to have to believe at least this. And if you're one of those that does, this presentation likely applies to you. And there's one other caveat, that indeed you have committed and you will continue to commit time, effort, and money to finding Fenn's treasure. Because if you're not doing that, you're not going to be affected in the same way. If it's just for you a curiosity that you're looking at and wondering about, but don't spend any time in it, you're not researching from, as we've seen in the interviews that we've conducted, anywhere from 3 to 20 hours a week in research. You've done dozens, if not in some cases literally hundreds of boots on the ground, then you don't need to worry about any of this. You won't be affected in the same way. So what I did was I tried to create the possible scenarios that could occur when and if the treasure were to be found. And I started with not the most plausible, but the ones that were most rewarding, right? Emotionally, spiritually, and not that any time the treasure is going to be found is going to be an up day for any of us, but these are from the most ideal to the least ideal, I guess is the best way to describe it. Not that, again, the treasure being found is going to be ideal for any one of us, but if it is found, this is the scenario I'd like to see. I'd like to see it found within Fenn's lifetime, and I would like to see Fenn make an announcement that A, the treasure has been found. He provides some form of evidence, either photographic or a piece of what was in the treasure, perhaps even his turquoise bracelet. He makes public the finder, because he told us it's up to the finder what to do. But the finder says to go ahead and make his make that finder known. And then finally, that the finder is willing to make public the location. That, for me, is the ideal scenario, because it would help me personally go through the follow-on grieving process that I'm going to experience and that it is likely that all of us are going to experience. But this would make it a lot easier because it enables me to make decisions. I can say to myself, well, I never had this poem right anyway. I was down in New Mexico and they found it in Dinosaur National Monument in Colorado, right? So I can say, never even thought of that one. And I can be happy about the person that found it, and maybe I even know the person that found it, and I can call them and ask them if they could give me some of the treasure. No. So that's the ideal situation, and then it goes downhill from there, okay? So scenario 2, within Fenn's lifetime, Fenn announces that the treasure has been found. He provides some form of evidence so that we can be assured it has been found. He makes public the finder. That means the finder has given him permission to let the world know that he found it, you know? So that's scenario 2, but the finder doesn't wish to reveal the location of the find. So the level of frustration for me would go up just a little bit, right? Like, ugh, I need to know where it's found, where it was found. Scenario 3, Fenn's lifetime. Fenn announces the treasure has been found, and he provides evidence the finder chooses to remain anonymous, not only remain anonymous, but not reveal the location of where they found the treasure. And there's a variety of reasons not to do that, including, you know, having local state and federal governments coming after you. If you were to say, I found it in Yellowstone National Park, there's a lot of reasons to do that. But scenarios 3, level of frustration for me goes up. So it's going to be harder, my grief process is going to be harder. Scenario 4, the treasure is found after Fenn's passing. And the media announces, you know, the individual who finds the treasure through the media announces what I said earlier. So this is a little bit better, but it's after Fenn's passing because there's something about Fenn being able to announce this that I look forward to. Treasure has been found. The media has been provided the evidence that it has been found. The finder is willing to let themselves be known to the public, and the finder is willing to let the location of the find be public. So, you know, this takes a step back up. It's not Fenn, but ideally I would be a lot more satisfied with this kind of resolution than I would be with the previous 3. So scenario number 5, after Fenn's passing, the media announces the treasure has been found. They provide evidence. They make public the finder. That is, the finder is willing to let the media know and the world know that they are the finder, but they do not reveal the location of the treasure. Scenario 6, after the treasure is found after Fenn's passing, but obviously within our lifetimes, the media announces the treasure has been found and provides evidence, but the finder does not wish to be their name to be made public, nor do they wish to reveal the location of the find. Then there's number 7. And number 7 is we never find out. The finder doesn't contact the media, doesn't contact Fenn, and doesn't reveal exclusive of the media or Fenn that the treasure's been found, and as a result, they remain anonymous and the location remains anonymous. Now, in all honesty, I have a reasonable level of confidence that we won't see scenario 7. Is it possible? Yes. Is it plausible? Yes. Is it probable? No, I don't think it is. I think that for the most part, the finder will, at a minimum, reveal that the treasure has been found, whether Fenn is alive or has passed, will reveal that the treasure has been found and will provide some form of evidence. I believe there's a high probability of that scenario, that the scenario number 7, that we never find out anything, is very low. It is possible. It is plausible, but I don't believe that it's probable. So I think any of the other scenarios are more reasonable than this one. So the big question is, what happens at that point? And what happens at that point, based on the conversations that I've had with people who are experts in this area, Some of us, not all of us, some of us will be able to walk past all of this and just go on with our lives. But some of us, and I admit that I will be one of them. So I've experienced a lot of personal loss in my life, probably no more than anyone else. I lost my father, I lost my mother, I lost my sister, I lost my two brothers, I lost a couple of best friends, almost brothers in Vietnam. So we've all experienced that level of loss, and we all experience to some extent the grief associated with that loss. Now, over the years, and as I've aged and as I've experienced more of this loss, I've gotten more insulated to it, which is not good actually, because it just means it stays there and you have to get through it sooner or later. But I do know that in some small way in each case, I have experienced each one of these 7, what do you call them? The contiguous events.
Stages.
Pardon me? Stages, yeah. Oh, it says so right there, doesn't it? Yeah. So these stages of grief. And I have a sense that since this will be a loss of something that has been important to me for the past 5 years. I was talking with Shelley yesterday, and on November 7th of this year, I will have started, it will be 5 years that I started making blog posts about this topic. There are over 425 blog posts on my blog. There are 36 photo albums. There are over 300, close to 350 YouTube videos on our channel. There is a burgeoning Facebook page. There is this technology. So I've invested, and Shelley has invested, a significant amount of time and effort and money, 32 recons. We've invested a significant amount of time, effort, and money in this. And I have built up some mental and physical and maybe even emotional, I don't want to call it baggage, but it's part of me now. Part of me mentally, part of me physically, and part of me emotionally. And for those of you that believe in spirituality, it may be even part of you spiritually. So it's a part of me. I've invested a lot in this, and I will continue to invest a lot of it until the treasure is found, whether by us or someone else. So that means when it is found, and it isn't me, I'm going to experience some grief. It's the nature of us being humans, rational humans, that we're going to experience some kind of grief when this comes about. So what I did is I took the 7 stages of grief and I made them a list, and then I found definitions for each one of them. Shelley, could you have that so I can have you read them? Or are you doing it from there?
I was looking at Facebook.
Oh, how are they doing on Facebook?
They're asking about the coins from last night.
Just watch the video from last night. Everything you need to know about the coins is in the video. So what I'd like to do, these are just very brief paragraphs. What I'd like to do is I'd like Shelley to read each one of them very briefly, and then you guys can think about them, and then I'm going to tell you what we've done about that. Okay? So while you're doing that, while Shelley is doing that, if you have any questions, you can text them now to 800-947-1043. I will see them on here. As you guys know, it's much harder for us to see the chat room, and because it's moving by rapidly, and we don't get to look at it until we finish our presentation. So if you have questions or comments, text a message to 1-800-947-1043, and then we'll open up the phone line so we can actually have a conversation about this, okay? So let's start with shock and disbelief.
It is natural to be shocked, particularly if it was a sudden and unexpected loss. A person goes through several emotional and physical reactions when in a state of shock. Some of these include nausea, dizziness, emptiness, and numbness. It is possible that a person does not feel anything upon hearing the news or behaves in a strange manner. For instance, the person may start laughing hysterically, which does not seem like a natural reaction. In time, it starts to sink in that something very close has been lost forever, which will surface other emotions.
And denial.
Denial. While still recovering from the shock, the grieving person may go into a state of denial, a sub-state of shock. Denial is a condition when a person refuses to accept what has happened. When a person loses something, he or she may completely deny the reality to avoid pain. There is no crying, nor is there any reaction to the loss. In fact, the loss is not accepted or even acknowledged. Such behavior may offer temporary emotional protection and may last for weeks in extreme cases.
Pain.
As the shock and denial wears off, the person may enter the stage of deep pain and guilt. The reality has sunk in and the void left by the loss is being felt. It is important not to hide from this pain in order to overcome it. That's true of any emotion. A person may try to avoid the unbearable pain by using drugs or alcohol to escape from the reality. They may begin to feel that life has become scary, chaotic, and difficult to manage.
Anger.
A grieving person may lash out at the people around him or her, questioning the reality. Why is this happening to me? All bottled up emotions are released. The person may even search for targets to lash out at. It is important to understand that such behavior is to be expected. Otherwise, it may destroy your relationship with the person going through grief.
Anger.
That was anger.
Oh, I'm sorry, bargaining.
Bargaining is the stage where the person in grief is full of guilt. He or she feels completely vulnerable and tries to get the control back. The grieving person may talk about the difficulties in his or her relationship with the search. The word "if" is often repeated again and again. If only we spent more time on the ground. If only I was better at my research. If only we went to a better location. If only we'd walked another 200 feet. It is as if the person starts blaming him or herself for the loss.
Depression.
A person in grief often goes in and out of depression. The person is overwhelmed by feelings such as self-pity, hopelessness, bitterness, and frustration. It is a period of sad reflection where he or she may seek complete isolation and feel extremely lonely due to the loss. Encouragement offered by others may not be effective, and the magnitude of the loss is finally realized.
Acceptance.
Acceptance and hope. Acceptance is the final stage, the point where the grieving person finally accepts the reality of what has happened. Acceptance is a positive stage. It is not the same as resignation or feeling defeated. In this stage, the grieving person realizes that it, the loss, is something that was going to happen and was not in my control. Moreover, he or she decides to move on in life and even tries to plan for the future. The loss, though still upsetting, is no longer felt with the unbearable pain experienced earlier. Oftentimes it is difficult for a person to fully heal from the grief without experiencing these 7 stages of grief. More often than not, people have no one to turn to in their time of grief, as other people don't know how to react and deal with the situation. By knowing about these stages of grief, you can provide the support your loved ones need when they are grieving.
Thank you. May I have that? Because I need to show them something. So what I wanted you to know is that one of the things that I did was I took all of this and I've printed it up. And in addition to that, I've put a worksheet that takes the 7 stages and gives you blanks to fill out. And I've put a link to this form, if you will. I don't know what else to call it. It has the descriptions that Shelley just read and this worksheet. And I put that link in the description box below. And what I'm going to recommend, as we have already done, is that I'm going to recommend that you download that form and fill it out. And what I mean by fill it out is completely understand what each one of those phases are, and in your opinion, how you're going to respond to them, and further, how you're going to make them as short as possible. Now, some people can get through life without ever experiencing grief. We know some of them. They are public figures. most of us can't. We're going to have to go through it, and it's actually better if you experience them without doing a lot of damage to yourself or to the people that you love, because that's possible. You're going to get to that stage where you're going to look for people to blame this all on, and some of those people are going to care about you, and you're going to do some damage to the relationships. So go through the form, fill it out, and just make some quick notes about how you're going to handle that particular phase, that stage, so that you at least have a plan for it. Because planning is probably the most important thing that you can do in terms of dealing with this. Now, we've already told you that you should have a plan in case you find the treasure. But if we use Fenn's numbers, there are, he says there are 350,000 people out there looking for the treasure. That means 349,999 of us aren't going to find it. And so we're going to have to deal with this. And so what we're suggesting is that with the expectation that it's a possibility, that it's plausible, and that it's a very high probability. The probability is higher that you will not find the treasure than it is that you will find the treasure. So you might as well plan for that too. And this is a good way to do it, at least to think about it, at least to read these stages. So after the treasure is found, when it is found, and we are all living, you can know exactly when you start that first phase of shock and how you're going to handle it and what you're going to do to make sure you don't do damage to the relationships with the people that you love. Okay, so that's all I have to say about that. So what are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Well, I think that we are the type of people who understand that treasure is a thing. We are always grateful for the people in our lives who are still there for us, and they mean a lot more to us than things. Things can always be replaced. So I think we would look for those replacements.
And what are we going to do with the Gypsy's Kiss? And the reason I'm asking Shelley these questions is because she is effectively our strategic planner. She's the one that gets these long-range topics, conversations started. And she knows that it forces me to have to, not forces, but encourages me, inspires me to think about it. I haven't thought about those things, and, well, I may have thought about them, but until she brings them up, they coalesce into a more strategic plan. So that's why I like asking these questions. So what would we do with the Gypsy's Kiss?
Well, I think for the first month, at least, we would continue to be here for those searchers who are also suffering through grief, because they may not have anybody like we do to talk to at home about it. They may not have that support system who cares about them and understands that what a loss this was to them. Everybody in their life may be saying to them, you didn't own that treasure, so why do you care that somebody else found it? It's not like you lost anything. It was never in your possession. So I think being here to answer those questions and just for them to reach out to somebody who understands would be important to the community. And then as time went on and less people were in need of that, we could switch over at that point to another topic.
Have you thought about what topics we could switch over to?
Well, yeah, we've talked a little bit about it. We've talked about possibility of going political or more of a coaching scenario. I know we're going to come up with something. I'm not worried about it not coming to us. And then there's always the possibility that we've worked out all of this technology. We know how to launch and run a YouTube channel with a lot of technology. So if somebody would come to us and say, I have this great idea for a YouTube channel, I just need help with the technology, then we could back that effort. New YouTuber and help them grow their channel, and maybe even a family member or friend would want to do that.
We need a 21-year-old female gamer would be ideal.
I'm telling you, your granddaughter.
You're my granddaughter.
She's not 21 yet.
Yeah, she's not.
But,
yeah, find me a 21-year-old female gamer, and I will turn that into a money-making channel. So, so I tend to agree with Shelley on most of that. I think we can move away from it quickly. Because although we have invested time and we do have a mental and emotional and physical connection to it, I think that we're old enough perhaps and have been through enough of these situations that I think it's going to be easier for us to step away from it. And I think the idea that Shelley has that we're up for another month as a Gypsy's Kiss, just kind of supporting everyone and then making a decision about what we do after from that. There's, we could stay with treasures. There's lots of treasures to be found. Now, honestly, I haven't, my friend Mike Cowlazars. Oh. Cowlazars, get it?
Lasers.
Has invested some of his time and effort into looking at other treasures. Oh, remember that treasure that he was talking about that was in New Mexico that it was found?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We didn't even go look for it yet.
We didn't get to look for it. So it was one of the treasure man treasures.
Where was it found at?
He couldn't remember when we were talking about it last night. I think he said the Pyramid Mountains, something like that. He wasn't sure, and I haven't checked any further. I'd have to go back. It is mentioned that it was found in his on his website. So I'll go back and look there and see what they got. But it was found, so makes it that much more real. We do, I think we're planning for the eventuality, both in terms of the plausibility in our lives, like what are we going to do as Shelley and Toby, and then what are we going to do as YouTube content providers, so content creators. So we've got a couple of decisions to make, but I feel like it's going to be a relatively straightforward decision for us. I'm not worried about it. I want to cover it. I'd like to cover it, of course, and we'll be around for a while after in our current configuration, just talking about it and maybe even having this conversation again. So, all right. So we are done with the presentation part of today's show. We are going to finish up at 2 o'clock because we have a 2:30 show, I was going to say something else. Oh, and if you have questions or comments about what we're talking about today, right now you can text a message to 1-800-947-1043, and in just a second I'm going to open up the phones, and if you want to have a conversation about this topic, please call. We'll reserve all the other topics for our Friday night Fandango, so we want to talk about this topic today, okay? So let me see if do I need to make a transition here, or do I have? Oh, and don't forget, if you'd like to donate to our project, there is a super chat link at the bottom of your chat window. And not that we ignore anybody's questions, but it's a lot easier for us to see your question in the chat room when you do a super chat, even if it's for a small amount, because it highlights it and it raises it to the top of the queue. But for immediate attention, send that text to 1-800-947-1043. Okay, so let me transition over to full screen here. Oh, didn't mean to do that. It's been a sticky wicket of a day, hasn't it?
Full screen.
Yeah,
there
full screen.
Go.
Thank you. There we go. Okay, now I need to change this so that when we come back. All right, so that's what we come back to, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
All right, so I do have some inbound questions here, so let's take those first. This one is from Tammy, our friend Tammy Mattis. She says, off topic, just wanted to say happy birthday early to my Libra sister, Shelley.
Yay.
Feel better
you.
quick.
Thanks.
So, Shelley's birthday is tomorrow. She's not going to be around to celebrate it, but she will be on that call that we're doing at 1 o'clock. Hi, guys. It's Joey from New York City. Curious if you think it's logically accurate that about 350,000 people have searched for the treasure, or is it possible a hint? That number seems unrealistic to me. It does to me too, Joey. I think the number is high, but I think there's a variety of ways that Fenn could interpret that to his own benefit. He could take the number of books that have been sold and then multiply that by a factor of X to assume that at least 350,000 people have some sort of interest in the treasure hunt. I think it could be possible. I don't think it's plausible. I think the number is smaller, but half that size would still be a big number. I do not think, on the other hand, that it's a hint or a clue. I think it's just a number. And this is, so don't forget, 720, you know who you are. Do me a favor and text your name and your first name and where you're writing from so that I can mention it. So, and that goes for everybody. If you're going to send us a text, make sure you're mentioning your name and what state you're writing from. What if I told Forrest the treasure was found, but he hasn't announced it? And what if I tried to tell the blogs it was found and they took down my posting? You're not going to get anywhere if you don't provide evidence.
Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah, Pixar didn't happen. If all you're saying, if all you're doing is writing Fenn and telling him that you found the treasure and you don't provide any evidence, then you didn't find the treasure. If you're putting it on the blogs or the forums or these channels that you found the treasure and you're not providing any evidence, then we have to assume you didn't find the treasure. And the reason we have to assume that is because not only is it bad policy not to provide the evidence, but we've got a commitment here that we have to keep. Just because you say you found it and not provide evidence doesn't mean we're going to stop. Not only that, you're just going to make a lot of people mad at you, and the more you talk about it in that way, the fewer friends you're going to have in the search.
It's been done.
Yeah, that's the other thing
it's
too.
It's been done so many times. Nobody believes it anymore.
We're 8 years into this, and literally thousands of people have said, one of these. I went and I recovered the treasure. I have it, but I'm going to keep it to myself. B, I went to the location where the treasure was supposed to be, and it was gone. Or C, I went to the location where the treasure was, and because Forrest knew I was going, I wrote Forrest. He removed the treasure. So we've heard all those stories. They are impractical, implausible. Nobody believes them. If you have the treasure, provide the evidence. Otherwise, you don't have the treasure. Okay, 505-235, send me your name and where you're writing from. For me, it would be acceptance. Like I said in the interview, I don't know who this is, so I must have interviewed them. I tell myself the person or persons who find it was destined to find it. I'll be more than happy for the person or persons. There was a time when warriors went out to fight a battle, and they would go out as if they are already dead. It's hard to lose, but apparently easy to die. From our friend, Susie. She said she wanted something magical like fairy dust.
Oh, I see.
So this is from R.F. Hecky on YouTube. The other day you said the name of the scene portrayed on the chest. Can you tell me again? I can't remember which blog it was from. It's called Siege. The name of the scene is Siege of the Castle of Love. And if you do a Google search on it, you'll find a lot of information about it. So it's for that period of time, for that that particular in art. Apparently, it was a famously used imagery. 248. Send me your name and where you're calling from, so I know who to share this or who to attribute this to. If the location of the treasure is revealed after being found, do you think it will be overrun with damaged by searchers making pilgrimages there? And would it ruin the specialness of the spot? Jack from Philadelphia. I don't know, Jack. There's a part of me that would probably agree with you that people would want to see it. I imagine that if it was on public lands that are controlled like a national park, they would immediately fence off the areas to prevent that kind of damage that you're describing. But I think the pilgrimage idea is special. It would have to be in an area where it was accessible and where it was legal, right? So let's say they did find it in a national park, that Fenn put it in a national park, that it was discovered in a national park, that it's made public. I can assure you that the national park will then do everything it can to protect that from damage and destruction. The other thing is, I've got to imagine that everybody would want, everybody who's, not everybody, but many people who were part of this because of the amount of emotional and physical and mental effort they've put into this, they may want to see it, and there is a possibility that damage could be done. But you'd like to think that that we are that our better angels would take hold, and that we might go see it, but that we wouldn't do damage, that we'd treat it respectfully, because there's a lot of effort both on Fenn's part and our part has been put into it. So
maybe the finder will buy the land and put up a B&B and call it the Home of Brown or something.
And then put the treasure in the middle of the thing in a
glass case.
Glass case that's protected so everybody could see it.
Or a replica, have it redone in plastic.
Yeah.
Put that in the case. I don't think I'd leave it sit out.
Hire a company to build a casino and then just make that the centerpiece of it.
Yeah, there you go.
The thrill of the chase casino.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
And I can see the slot machines now, no place for the meek.
That's just, okay, guys, that's just a fantasy. I don't mean that.
So Eric Schmidt wants to know, are you preparing us for an announcement?
We are not.
No.
We are going to make an announcement.
Maybe in the next 10 years?
Yeah, we are going to make an announcement tomorrow, and we're going to make an announcement next Wednesday, but neither of them have anything to do with us finding the treasure. As we say often enough, what do we say?
We say lots of things.
we don't know where the treasure is.
No, we don't.
We have no idea.
We say lots of things.
Yeah, we're looking at places, but honestly, we're just completely.
We have a question from Hal Jorgensen on Facebook.
Okay, what's the question?
Toby, could you describe the treasure box with color and size? Is it more than one color?
So it's Fenn has given two different descriptions of it. He said it's 10 by 10 by 5 inches, and he said once, I think, that it was 10 by 10 by 6. So I don't know which of those is a mistake. He more often says it's 10 by 10 by 5. It is a heavy bronze chest that had been cast with an image of, as I said earlier, the siege of the Castle of Love. You can look it up and you can see what the image looks like. You can also Google search Fenn's treasure, and there are lots of photographs on the treasure. He arranged to have photographs made of the treasure before he hid it, and some of those images are in his book. So it's not difficult to find high resolution color images of those of the treasure, so that you can see for yourself. But it's a bronze chest, and when opened is filled with gold coins, gold nuggets, some as large as a hen's egg, jewels, and ancient artifacts. So, but all you have to do is Google it and you can see pictures of it yourself.
And there was a discussion today, people were talking about, is it possible that the chest is on land owned by Forrest Fenn somewhere in the Rockies?
It's possible. It's not plausible, and I believe it's improbable. I don't think it makes sense for him to have done that. It's just not a good strategy on his part.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair, because those who are following the law wouldn't trespass onto the private property. And he likes to be fair about all the clues and hints that he gives, that everybody gets the same information. He doesn't want to be accused of being unfair. I think that's that middle child syndrome.
Yeah.
And once you've been, under that kind of heat lamp where everybody's like, oh, you're not being fair, and that's not right, and I need mine too, and then you don't, you're very cognizant of being fair, and putting it on private land of any kind wouldn't be fair to those people who are not going to break the law. Could name several lawyers and police officers and retired police officers and that sort of thing who are in this chase who just wouldn't do that. So it wouldn't be fair to them, would it?
So why don't you go ahead? Let me address this one question and then read the names of the folks that are in the room.
Okay.
Let's spend a couple of minutes doing that so that we can say hi. But I want to address this. So for the past couple of weeks, we've had, as we're implementing, and we warn you kind of every time we implement this new technology, we've got to deal with some issues. And recently, our strategy has been to start the program, and if we don't like it, we stop it. And the reason is that program is processed by YouTube and will be there forever, right? So we want the highest quality product that we can deliver afterwards. So our choice has been we're stopping it and we're starting over, right? So I noticed that Eric was kind of curious, like, what do they do? He was this way last week when we did it, and now again I noticed. So Eric, I want you to know why we're doing that. It certainly isn't intentional, but we do want to make sure that this ends up on YouTube, the highest quality product we can make. And when I have those situations where I'm dealing with, I wish you could see my desktop here, all this new technology, if we make a mistake, it's easier for us to go back and start over, and it's better for us. So if you see those situations where, and I know we were even a little bit late today, but if you see those situations where we start and Toby says something like, I hate that, or whatever I say, we're going to start over, just assume we're going to start over, and we'll have, a better product for you. By the way, the phone lines are open if you want to call the 1-800 number, 1-800-947-1043, and talk to us about this topic, about the finding of the treasure. Give us a call and we'll put you on the air.
So Michael Cohen, or Ken, or however you say his name?
Ken, he pronounces it.
Ken, okay. He says, if someone could show you all the clues, would you be interested in doing a video showing the story and then the actual find, like a documentary for TV?
Yeah, but after 5 years... after 5 years and as much research as I've done, honestly, I'm very skeptical of someone having the set of clues that leads them to the treasure. If you have evidence, if that's the state you're in, Michael, what I'd recommend is you go to that location, take a picture of the treasure. Nobody else is going to find it because nobody else has found it thus far. Send me a photograph of the treasure that you've found, erase the metadata, etc. And yes, I'll do the documentary. Other than that, no picture, no evidence, no documentary.
Zozo Rocks says, has anybody figured out a maximum distance, or are we all still thinking about not far, but too far to walk is 10 miles?
So our opinion on the matter is that from clue 1 to clue 9 is under 1,000 feet. That is an opinion, and there are a variety of those opinions. Dale Neitzel recently made a blog post of a similar solution, one that was very short ranged, and he called it a small-scale solve. So I've adopted that. For me, it's a small-scale solution or a small-scale theory. We do not believe that the distance from clue 1 to clue 9 is greater than 1,000 feet, and we would never drive 10 miles to try to find the treasure. The problem becomes immensely more complex if there's 10 miles between clue 1 or clue 9. So William Ortiz is apologizing for something. I don't know who he's apologizing to. Yeah, Jan, I'm going to delete that comment because that's...
World Famous Gamer says, is the word answer or answers in the poem, or does it matter? It seems to me like it does.
The correct... So there was a mistake with that, and I think the mistake was made on his website. the old Santa Fe, what was it, Santa Fe Trading Company.
Mm-hmm.
When they copied the poem, they left off the S. The correct poem is in the book, and it shouldn't make a difference because the correct word is in the book. You shouldn't have that debate. Let's see. High Plains Drifter Jack Selvage. He says he's back home and in Oklahoma with a treasure. And then he qualifies it the AGK treasure, that is the coin that he found. Jack, High Plains Drifter was the gentleman that found the coin that we left near the right on the Rio de los Pinos. So hi, Jack. Say hi to Johanna for us. Joey Perro says AGK is a natural part of the Eunice cycle. Get it?
Unicycle.
Yeah, he's being funny.
Oh, yeah.
That was good. All right. Hey caller, this is Toby Eunice of a Gypsy's Kiss. Where are you calling from, and what's your question? I don't hear me, caller. Can you hear me, caller? It's up. He's not muted. He's connected.
No, it's gone now.
No, hung up.
We heard the ring, so
We heard the ring.
we're hearing the phone. Zozo Rocks wants to know, did you get a chance to listen to the musical score? And what's your opinion? Which?
Oh, Zozo, when we played the other music on Friday night, I played the whole song.
Oh, right.
Zozo said that they had written a song and they referred a link to us. And I got to the link, Zozo, and I thought it was the musical. I thought it was just a musical score. I think I wrote you and I said, I'm sorry, I can't read music because I can't tell what it was. I didn't realize there's an audio file associated with that. So forgive me for that. If confirm that there is an audio file on the link that you gave me. And also, if you'd like, give me permission to play that audio file on our show next week. All right, let's try this again. Give me 1 second. All right, caller, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm going to guess this is Cher just by that accent, but what's your name and where are you calling from? And what's your question?
This is Cher, and I'm calling from Eastern North Carolina. Actually, outside Fort Bragg.
Oh, Fort Bragg. I've been there. I trained there early in my career. So,
oh, my goodness. I'm right off base.
Right. So, what's your question?
Okay, today we're talking about the grieving process and how I'm going to grieve when I don't get my hands on the treasure. And I think that probably part of the reason why there'll be this massive grieving is because we are looking at the whole process not as a game. And no matter how you look at it, it really is just a game. But for some of us, it's the biggest poker game we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
We would not think a thing about entering a poker game, playing for cookies. But some of us are playing high stakes. We've spent thousands. We've spent perhaps thousands of hours. I would venture that I've spent well in excess of 1,000 hours, if not 2,000 hours in research.
And I think that's part of the issue that we have to deal with is that we have made a significant investment. I mean, if you go to the World Series of Poker, the annual World Series of Poker in Las Vegas, the entry fee is $10,000, and you play, against 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 other players, and there's only one winner. And so I've always wondered, of all those people that have entered the competition, what percentage of them are going to go experience these levels of grief? Because it wasn't. I have a bucket list item that is to go play in the World Series of Poker with a $10,000 investment, and I probably won't get past the first round. I'm an okay poker player, but I'm certainly not the class. And I have to accept that's my plan. So if that's part of my plan, to go have a good time, party in Las Vegas for about 4 or 5 days, play poker amongst on tables that may have some of the greatest poker players in the world, and then walk away from that after my $10,000 is gone after probably, I don't know, 6 rounds, whatever it is, or 6 hands of poker, not 6 rounds. So I think planning for it, because it is a game, and it is a very serious game for some of us, planning for what we're going to do when it is found, I think is kind of the approach that we have to take. What do you think about that, Cher?
I agree. I think that if we were going to play Monopoly today, we wouldn't enter into the Monopoly game this afternoon assuming that we were going to win.
Right.
We would be playing for the thrill of the play.
Right.
And I think that there are people who are, the idea that they would have ever gotten it is so incredibly remote that the truth is they may have a better chance of winning a lottery.
Right. Yeah, we do have a better, that's actually true. Based, statistically speaking, we have a better chance winning the local lottery than we do.
Well, you are lucky enough to have the beautiful woman sitting beside of you to kind of corral you, and you can play off one another's opinions. And when you have something that's really out there, you know, she can say, "Hey, that's ridiculous. No, that'll never work." But many of us we are solo. We're flying solo in this, and so we don't have anybody to talk us down or talk us in off the ledge from crazy ideas. And the isolation, I think, is going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps you and Shelley should consider the idea to branch out and offer counseling to some of us who have
postpartum depression. Yeah. That's good. I like that. That's a good idea.
I love your show.
And
I think the problem is that we're not looking at it. We're not looking at the game, and it's absolutely a game, first and foremost.
So, Cher, I'm going to hang up, not because I don't like what you're saying, but you're breaking up. And I think what you have to say is really, really important, and I like it, and we really appreciate you, as usual, calling in. And please always call in, if nothing for the pleasure of not only hearing your opinions, but hearing your voice, your Southern accent. So
love your show, and you've appreciated.
Will do. Thank you. Okay, so I do, Cher brought up an interesting point that for a lot of us, we don't have a partner that we can have these conversations with someone else. And in a lot of cases, they don't want to hear about it because to them, it's just a little bit of craziness. But I want you to think about watching our show, not tomorrow, Wednesday, but next week, Wednesday, because we have another technology announcement that we're going to make that we think is going to help with all of this and is going to be part of this expansion of our conversations inside the community. Okay, so I'm going to take one more message and then we're gonna have to get going, right?
Mm-hmm. It's 2 o'clock. We have a couple in Facebook, but
well, go ahead and ask them.
Well, it's just this one because I think we were going to talk about it coming up. Doug Hayduck wants to know, is there any truth to the statement that historically blazes were put in trees along the Colorado-New Mexico border to mark the border every 10 miles apart?
So, yes and no. So, if you look at the Colorado-New Mexico border, it's been argued about since 1825. There are markers. If you're talking about the traditional blaze, so blaze in the context of motion over topography can be used in a variety of ways. So it is not wise for somebody who's trying to establish a state line to use a tree as a marker, because that tree is not going to, they're better off planting what in surveying is referred to as a monument, right? They put something in the ground, they plant something in the ground, and it's called a monument, and it's an indicator of the progress of that survey effort. So using a tree in that way is not a good idea. But Have trees been blazed? Has some of the bark been cut off, revealing some of the what's underneath the bark as a way to mark the tree? That is the case. I would doubt that it was used in the case of the state line because it's too malleable, right? You have to assume that the tree is not going to be knocked over, etc., especially 10 miles. That's just too great a distance for any marker. They usually put markers, and as a matter of fact, we're going to do an upcoming show on that. They do markers every mile on the state border, and we have pictures of them. So on the border between Colorado and New Mexico, in which Colorado has stolen some of New Mexico's land. So we need to talk about that, Colorado. Okay, it is 2 o'clock. And we are going to have to sign off here. And let me get Shelley her. Okay.
All right.
So go ahead and close up.
Well, if you will come back and join us at 2:30 this afternoon, we are going to be on the softerside.me, and we'll be talking about silencing your inner critic. And that's a really great topic because the men in my life often start talking about themselves very negatively, and I am always there to say, nobody else says that about you. That's only you talking. So what we need to do is to do that for ourselves, and we're going to talk more about that today at 2:30, and I hope you'll join us on the softer side. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, October 10th, we have a special announcement. Toby and I will be live. We'll be Zooming at 1 o'clock p.m. and I hope that you'll join us to find out what Toby's special announcement is.
Yeah, and it is not an announcement that we've found the treasure. It is not an announcement that we're stopping our channel and going to do something else. Let me see, what other, there was one other announcement that...
We're not getting married either.
Yeah, we're not. Shelley is not divorcing her husband and marrying me.
No.
It is an announcement about some of the things that we're going to, some changes. Again, we're going through all these changes, some changes that we're making to our programming, and we think it will help you.
And then tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock p.m., October 10th, Wednesday, we'll have our panel get together and talk about what they'll do when the treasure is found and it isn't them.
So this is the third week that I've decided to keep the theme consistent throughout the week in terms of our conversations. So we're going to take what we talked about today and we're going to take that into the panel, and we're going to allow the panel to express their opinions on the matter. And of course, the text lines will be open.
And Thursday, October 11th at 1 o'clock, we'll have our Thrill of the Chase book club. It's the last little bit of the book. It's called the epilogue, and we'll be talking about that on Thursday. And I hope that you'll join us with all of your questions about the whole book.
And the other thing is we're going to let you know what our decision is for the Thursday afternoon program and what you can expect from that point forward.
Friday at 1 o'clock, there'll be another live. It's all about you. Again, at 1 o'clock, Toby will be there live talking to another searcher.
We're live streaming that.
Right.
Oh, okay. Did you say
twice.
that? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So live streaming that, another female searcher with their own YouTube channel and their own ideas, and so we want to talk to them.
Is that how epilogue is spelled in the book?
You meant with the L-O-G-U-E?
Yeah.
Is that how I spelled it?
No.
Oh.
You left the U-E off.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
I just...
Because Eric Schmidt asked, and I didn't know either. I know you can spell it either way, just like dialogue.
Yeah, I have to look at it. Then 7 p.m. on Friday, October 12th, Forrest Fenn Friday Fandango with yours truly. And you'll be able to call in, you'll be able to text in, you'll be able to chat in, and we can have a conversation about all things Fenn. If you have any questions about the coin project, the new silver coin project, you can bring them up then. We'll address them then. I can give you as much information I have. We are involved. It's Christie's project, but we are involved to the extent that she's going to be sharing some of those coins with us, and we're going to be hiding them in the 4 treasure states. So, okay, so back to full screen with lower third, and then, and oh.
What?
Let's try, you want to try outroing with this as well? I mean, outroing for your outro? Come on, let's try it. Okay, ready? Okay, just wait for your cue. So we're going to try something new, guys. So if we blow this, we're going to start over. No, I'm just...
No, we're not.
Ready?
Thank you. Thank you for all the...
Okay, hang on. Wait for your cue.
Thank you for all of you being here today and for all the wonderful birthday wishes, for all your questions and comments. We know you have a choice in what to watch on YouTube, and we're glad that you choose to spend some time with us. Oh, did you push it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry. The volume on mine is so light, I can barely hear. Oh, and for Gypsy's Kiss the Vlog, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in our program tomorrow afternoon for a special announcement.